Is coaching a necessity and why? Now, that's a good question. Everybody is different, and the situation of any person that may feel they need additional support is always going to look for either an advisor, a consultant. I believe we all have our strengths. I believe.
Okay, let's go.
Is coaching a necessity and why? Now, that's a good question. Everybody is different, and the situation of any person that may feel they need additional support is always going to look for either an advisor, a consultant. I believe we all have our strengths. I believe as somebody who is trying to achieve something, the thing about being, a coach is that you are, a professional advisor. You're somebody who has the training, you have the background, you have the skill sets to provide that guidance to a person. But the unique thing about a coach is that you can do that based on the strengths of that person. You're able to identify the weaknesses of that person. You're looking from the outside in. So basically, to answer your question about it being a necessity, it all depends on the person. Some people need that. Some people have a inner strength that they can self-guide. And then some people, even with that inner strength, they still need somebody from the outside to look in. We have so many celebrities, so many successful, executives and entrepreneurs. They still have coaches. Real estate execs have coaches. People who are trying to, achieve and go beyond have coaches. And the purpose is that you want somebody there that you can provide that guidance to them. Somebody who will give them insight, somebody who sees things from the outside. When you have a 24/7 coach, you can pick up the phone or text anytime just because you have to bounce something off of them. That is an amazing thing because it's like having that best friend. It's like having that professional advisor, but again, somebody with the skill sets. So yeah, absolutely. I think, with all the celebrities that are out there, they've all identified that, Oprah Winfrey, for instance, she said, coaching has been something that she definitely appreciates that allowed her to become who she is. So yeah, I think it is a necessity. Which coaching skill is preferred? One of my podcasts, I talked about martial arts and how there's different types of martial arts. And the martial arts is, we have all these different, types, Jeet Kune Do, Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu, Aikido, and, Kempo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And same thing goes with coaching. But if I had to choose one, I would probably choose something that provides an approach that will identify me as a person, and then from there we evolve. So for instance, if I am a business executive, I'm going to look for a coach who has that skill set of executive coaching. That is great, because if that is my goal to improve my performance at work, then that coach is going to work out. However, what if I have a problem that my performance at work relates to something that's going on at home. Can that coach help me with that? Probably not, if that's what their skill set is. This guy could be a 30-year veteran of corporate America, but never been married. But yet my problem at work is that I'm simply struggling with something that's distracting me from work. Well, that person can't help me. However, if a life coach is the person that I'm working with, he or she may have a little broader understanding. Not the best at maybe executive coaching, maybe not the best at the marriage coaching. However, they can give me a broader perspective as a person. So that's where a life coach goes in. Now, for me personally, I'm a developmental health coach. For me, developmental coaching is a very broad approach of coaching from ground zero. The developmental as a person, and it relates to so many different things. But for me, as a developmental health coach, I'm taking it from perspective of how you're thinking, how you're evolving as a person, and considering the thinking aspect of it. So it gets a little more specific, but again, if I had to choose one, a general life coach is probably the best place to start. So why did I become a coach? I have a very, very long story, but I'm going to give you the short version of it. I became a coach because I got to the point where it was not just related to me wanting to improve who I was as a person. It was more than that. It was about me trying to improve. It was about me trying to understand. It was about me trying to fix. I had like all these different things that was necessary for me to evolve. And as I continued to go to therapy, as I tended talking to all these experts in the field of psychology, I learned that I had to somehow get out of that rigidness and find somebody or something that would have a little more fluidity to it, that would be able to evolve and work with me in improving. And coaching was the answer. So it's just a matter of finding the right coach. It's a matter of understanding what type of coach, who is going to be my coach. So with all of that, it was important for me to recognize that there was definitely a big difference between coaching and psychology. And I guess, why did I become a coach was simply that the improvement of me gave me the confidence of knowing what I could do to help others. So yeah, I apologize. I didn't quite answer that question, but yes, I became a coach because I saw how much I was able to achieve and accomplish. And therefore, for me to be able to basically pay forward, I decided to become a coach. So why did I choose coaching over being a psychologist? Well, the real answer is I'm still going to be a psychologist. I'm in school now to be a psychologist. I mean, I'm going to be a triple threat, MD, PhD, and now I'm going to have a PsyD pretty soon. So I'm still going to be a psychologist. But I think I'm going to be a little unique because I'm not choosing coaching over psychology. I mean, I've been a coach for 9 years now, and then I'm actually going to become a psychologist. But I think it's a matter of understanding everything. I don't want to be somebody who's critical of psychologists or psychiatrists or therapists. Absolutely not. There's definitely strengths and there's definitely positivity in all of these different fields. There's definitely a need. I just have a perspective that coaching gives a certain performance that is a little more, it has a little more dynamic to people, or I should say the others or individuals can have more receptiveness towards coaching, whereas psychology and psychiatry can be a little intimidating, very clinical. And I think there are a lot of people who don't really want that. I know as a veteran, the idea of going and talking to psychiatrists and psychologists is not something I'm really intrigued with, and most of my vet friends agree with me. Whereas a coach, we can get so much ground that will allow us to cover And yet we can do that with a coach. And there's a lot of collaboration that goes with coaching, whereas a psychologist or a psychiatrist, you don't have that collaboration. You're sitting there and you're being evaluated, which again is something that we don't really feel comfortable with, and then having them to just basically tell you. Whereas a coach, you have the uniqueness of collaboration. Let's work together. Let's team up. Let's figure out how we're going to get you to that next level. And I love that about coaching. So yeah, that's the thing about coaching, is that I choose to be a coach over a psychologist, but doesn't remove me from leveraging the knowledge of a psychologist, which is what I'm going to be doing. So as a military veteran, how does coaching help? How does coaching help? Well, I think it has nothing to do with just being a military veteran. I think it just applies to people. Can a military veteran benefit? Absolutely. I mean, the organization that I'm certified through, FIA, Fowler International Academy of Professional Coaches, we have a certification relating to veterans and military. So I think coaching definitely has a perspective that could contribute to that. But in general, it doesn't matter. I mean, coaching helps anybody that is requiring any type of support. Like I mentioned earlier, you have realtors, real estate brokers, real estate agents, you have actors, you have athletes, you have executives, on and on and on. So a active duty military veteran, maybe he or she is trying to get that next rank. Maybe he or she is trying to figure out how to balance the home life with their military service. There's so many different things that a coach can help with. And if it's after the military and a veteran, maybe they're trying to acclimate to civilian life. Maybe they're trying to figure out how to adjust to working, where they were in the military, everything was kind of given to them. They knew they had orders, they knew the chain of command. And now they're in a world where you have to, everything is ambiguous, and you have to understand the gray area, and you have to learn how to communicate. So a coach can help in so many different ways. It's just that coach just needs the proper training as well as background and experience. As an entrepreneur, how does coaching help? Okay, well, I mean, I talked about executive coaching, there's business coach. I mean, the coaches all have their experience and skill sets. So if you are an entrepreneur, you're trying to get your business going, you're trying to grow your business. Once upon a time, I was a business consultant. I actually would, companies would hire me, and my job would be to do whatever particular role I was in. I've done project management, I've done data warehousing, I've done integration, I've done enterprise architecture, I've done a lot of things on the tech side. And as on a personal consultant, I've done business advisory, come in and help, with budget planning, staff improvement, et cetera, et cetera. Even to this day, even now, I'm still doing that. So coaching in this aspect could be huge for an entrepreneur, because especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, you're by yourself and building your business, you want somebody to bounce things off of. I know where I'm currently working, we have 3 partners, 3 co-founders, and it's wonderful because we have the 3 of us. So between the 3 of us, we kind of have that dynamic. And in any voting circumstance, it's always going to have an odd number, 2 against 1, that kind of thing. So if you're an entrepreneur that's by yourself, a coach would be an amazing help to you to be able to bounce ideas off, kind of think about the choices that you're making, advising on any particular things such as budget, staffing, product development, et cetera, et cetera. So an entrepreneur definitely should always have a coach, with somebody obviously with background in business, so they can be able to give them the proper guidance and support related to their particular service. Who would qualify as a good coach? Well, that's actually pretty easy. I'm hiring coaches all the time, and I do not hire anybody that's under 30. I don't feel you have the background, you don't have the skill sets, you don't have the life experience to be a coach. So I'm not going to, say, for instance, hire my daughter who's 22 years of age because she's too young. She hasn't experienced anything. I mean, she could probably be a coach of a newborn mother. That's about it, because she gave me a grandson, and she has a now 14 months of being a mom. Okay, she can probably coach in that aspect because she's gone through it. However, it's not just doing it one time. It's something that you should really have experience and knowledge in different dynamics. So even then, she might not be the best coach to do newborn mom certification. She might actually, and I don't know if this is a real certification or not, but somebody might have that out there, but I know I don't. But my point is that, maybe a mother of 4 or 5 kids, they would be the perfect person to coach on this. So again, somebody who coaching, if you're a, 10, 15, 20 year veteran in business, okay, you can definitely be an entrepreneur type coach. If you're somebody who's an athlete and you've played this sport for 20 something years, now you're coaching. Me personally, like I said, I'm a developmental health coach because I have a long background of mental health awareness, mental health advocacy, mental health, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I put my emphasis in that. But the developmental part comes from all of the life experiences that I went through: marriage, divorce, raising kids, working in, Fortune 50, 100, 200, 500 companies, advisement, consulting. I mean, I can go on and on and on of all the things that I've done and achieved and failed at. So for me, developmental health, because the foundation is being able to have the mental strength to continue when you fall and then you get back up. Where I've lived in my truck after my divorce, and I was homeless, but yet I still went to class, still went to dissertation with 20, 30, 40 bucks in my pocket to still pay for gas to get to residency. Living out of my, sleeping in my truck on the roof of the school and nobody knew. I mean, these are the things that I've done and figured a way to not, give up. University, the school that I went to has no idea how appreciative I am of the things that I was able to do in secret. So qualifying as a good coach all comes back to somebody who has the passion to help. That's number one. You have to want to help other people. But number two is being able to have the right skill sets. You can't fake your way of being a coach. You need the training of how to deliver the material, but you need the background and experience to be able to justify it. And I'm going to throw in the fact that communication is important, having the ability to be patient, having the ability to be aware, having the ability to listen. I mean, these are all factors that are critical of being a good coach. Who trained me? I'm very lucky. So the organization I mentioned, I'm with, Fowler International Academy of Professional Coaches and Executive Coaching. And, those that are over 30 years of age will probably remember Sylvan Learning Academy. And the founder, the person who created that worldwide business, very successful, obviously, is Barry Fowler. And he's the one who created FIA. So I was very fortunate to have him provide me my first certification. Actually, he provided all my certifications. He provided everything. I have, oh my goodness, what do I have? 5, 6 certifications, business exec. I can't even keep up, but he did my life coach. He did my disaster recovery. I have military support certification. I have executive coaching, business coaching. I think I got like 5, 6, but he's the one behind all of them. And I like I said, I talked about it in a previous podcast where the training is all about who the person is providing. The training that you get, you're as good as your trainer. And you like martial arts, as I said in my podcast, your instructor, as good as he or she is, will give you that same training and capability. So I'm very fortunate to have the founder who was my mentor and the person who trained me, and therefore that goes into a level of confidence. And for him to have that faith in me to be my trainer and my mentor means that there's something in me, and I definitely enjoy the fact that through my success, he can look at me almost like a father looking on a son with proudness, and being able to know that I'm doing a good job. And every person that I help is because of him. So, So Barry Fowler, that's the person who trained me. Oh, so why did I create M.I.L? Okay, so Mastery in Life is a passion project, and I have an entire vision surrounding this, and it's critical for me. But why did I create it is because I feel that it's a little redundant, because I hate to say the fact that, there's already coaching methodologies that exist, and I understand that. However, I felt that there's an approach we can take that can keep things a little simpler. Coaching has become a point where we have different types, and we do not always focus on how. There are organizations that will teach you and give you the how, but that how is not always so easy to interpret. And for the client, it's not always easy to follow. So what I did was I created a method that allows and I'm very careful to say method and not methodology. I want to make that clear, because a methodology is very structured and rigid. You follow X, Y, Z. I came from a tech background, and a good example would be something like SDLC. So software or system development lifecycle. And you have these steps that you go through when you're, implementing a system or software, and you go through this, and then you can spin off and you can do sprint sessions to ensure that you're actually doing it correctly. All of these little tech methodologies is all designed to keep things efficient. The problem with that is that those things are based on technology, all right? Whereas people are not rigid, and people are very fluid. And so therefore, we don't want to use a methodology. We want to use something that's going to have a little bit more flexibility. And that's where M.I.L comes in. And not only is it a method versus methodology, so it's more fluid, it's more flexible, it's easier for the coach to be able to deliver, but the client can interpret. Being able to understand the roadway, the roadway that I created, understanding the triangle foundation, and then also understanding the APCs. And everything that I have put together on the M.I.L method is designed to allow the client to take ownership. And that's the key. So circling back to this whole thing from the beginning, when you asked me about my background and why, and I mentioned how I got into this, is because I took ownership. I believe, from a mental health perspective, which is my platform, is that people need to take ownership. You can learn, you can listen, and you can digest all of the data and all of the information that's given to you by all these experts. But at the end of the day, what you do with it and how you apply it is something that only you can be able to control and manage and perform. And that is where this is all circling back to. I am a huge advocate of somebody being able to take ownership, being able to learn as much as they can, but moving forward, not talking independently, because again, you still have a coach there, you still have a therapist there, you still have a psychologist, psychiatrist. Absolutely keep your team, your family, your friends. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is being able to manage and take control of how you are absorbing this information. When you wake up in the morning, you are the first person that understands how you feel. What are you going to do? You're not picking up the phone and calling your coach or your psychiatrist or psychologist at 6, 5, 4, 3 o'clock in the morning. They may or may not be there, although I am. I'm always 24/7 to my clients. But my point is, you have to kind of digest and figure out what is happening to you right now. Why are you thinking this way? What's going on with your emotions? Are you feeling depressed? Are your anxieties going through the roof? What's happening? Taking that and then being able to figure out your next steps. And that's based on what you've been coached leading up to that point. And that's where my method comes in. Giving that coach the ability to educate you so you can be able to know how to do or what to do in the next steps. So creating M.I.L, which is Mastering Life, is the whole point of mastering your life, being able to take control. I absolutely am advocating that. I want people to be able to deal with that. I want people to own it. I want people to understand it. And it's important for me to write it out, which is what this next book is going to be about. And everything is going to be available for them to understand, interpret. If you remember my second book, Mental Balance, it was a conversational book. It was very simple to follow. It was like me talking to you. And I do that because I don't want to alienate the young kids who are going through things. We have 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds who are going through some challenges. My books, my information is accessible to all ages because it's not about just adults anymore. We have this virtual world that we're living in, and these kids, these young adults, everybody has access to everything. So if they're going through something, I want them to be, if they're not ready to talk to an adult, I want them to be able to pick up my book and be able to read the pages and understand, read my method and understand, and feel free and comfortable to contact me. And then that way I can be able to communicate with them through their parents and being able to assist them. You know, there's an importance that our next generation needs to know that there are people out there, such as myself, but you don't have to go through a therapist or a psychologist. You could talk to a coach where it's non-clinical, and we can still overcome and get you to where you want to be.